Fast and Furious 8, or Fast 8, or The Fate of the Furious, whatever you want to call it really. It's directed by an F. Gary Gray, and when it comes to this franchise, I'm very new to it. I've only ever seen one Fast and Furious movie, and that's Tokyo Drift. So you're talking a few years ago, and that was when it first came out. And I've seen bits of others, so I've got a general idea of the look and feel of these movies. But until F8, Tokyo Drift was the only Fast and Furious movie that I had seen from beginning to end. So the plot, it's really not complex. It's very simple and straightforward. You know, there's a little twist and turn here and there. I didn't really go into this film actually expecting anything really sort of taxing, you know, anything really complex or deep, to be honest with you. I didn't really expect any of that. And even though they do attempt at making this emotional and a little bit deep, they sort of miss that. But I do feel this film, the story, had a certain amount of charm to it. So yeah, the plot. A mysterious woman played by Charlize Theron, who goes by the very apt name of Cypher, a criminal mastermind and cyber terrorist. So she basically manages to seduce Dom, played by Vin Diesel, into the world of terrorism, turning him against his friends and those that he loves. And that's pretty much the basic outline of the plot. And I may better say, I can't really compare, obviously, I can't compare this to previous installments other than Tokyo Drift, and it's been years since I've seen Tokyo Drift. So I can't really compare this to F7 or F6. So to me, this, you know, watching this movie the other night was pretty much diving into something very, very new for myself, and, you know, into this world. I'm very sort of unfamiliar with the characters. But the one thing that I have sort of got the message, you know, mainly from the trailers, is that these movies have very over-the-top action. And when it comes to F8, you get pretty much that, just that. The action in this movie, which I feel is one of the main attractions to these movies, the action was very fun. I have to admit, it was very silly and very far-fetched. Like, the action, you know, is way over the top, but I found myself really sort of enjoying the action sequences in this movie. There's this car chase in Cuba in the first sort of 15 minutes of the movie, and I really liked how it was shot. It was sort of jittery, but it was also very exciting and reminded me, because of this sort of jittery sort of direction, or with a, you know, style with the camera, it sort of it reminded me a little of the old Bond movies. A little. The only problem is, when you get the action, it's, yes, you know, it's very loud, very over the top, but there's large portions of this movie where you don't actually get an awful lot of action. You know, nothing really happens, and this is especially during the second act, and I thought the movie really slowed down and, well, came to a crashing halt. I was just hoping for more action. I was hoping for more car chases, if anything. I wanted more action sequences with cars, and I just found the second act to be very slow. And, well, with the plot being as basic as it is, you know, this, I feel, for me, this movie kind of relied and needed those crazy action scenes to keep the movie going, or to keep my interest, at least. Because when it also came to the characters, well, maybe it's because I've not seen the other movies before, but I found them to be very weak. They lacked character development, you know, not enough depth. I didn't really care for anyone in this film, and that, mixed with the story, I felt really sort of needed these over the top action moments, because I feel from just watching the trailers alone, these movies basically build themselves upon creating crazy action and trying to top them in every movie. And even though this movie has those moments, I don't think there was enough of them, and I really needed more. And this is all mainly down to the fact that there wasn't much of a story. I really didn't care for any of the characters, and you have this really slow second act, which at the same time, I mean, is quite messy, because the tone was very patchy, and there was a lot of humour injected into this film, which I didn't expect. And even though I thought the humour mostly was okay. I actually chuckled quite a few times in this film, and there were also moments of sort of serious scenes. I could say dark moments as well, but there were moments where they would be quite serious scenes during the film and serious character moments. But then you had that mixed with the humor that they were injecting, and it just didn't seem to kind of meld right, didn't fit right, and so as a result, the movie, when it came to tone, became a little bit of a mess. So back to the humor, in the movie. I did chuckle a few times. There was a lot of humor in this film that I didn't expect. And especially when it came to The Rock's character, Dwayne Johnson, and Jason Statham's character. They're both at each other's throats throughout the duration of the movie, and I found this relationship really funny, actually. Some of the lines that The Rock delivers really made me chuckle, and I feel a lot of that was down to the way in which, I keep referring to him as The Rock, but it's Dwayne Johnson, delivered those comedic lines. I thought, he did a really good job in with the comedic element, in fact. And it also looked like Dwayne Johnson, that he was having a lot of fun in this film. There's this one scene in the movie that basically has The Rock's character. I keep calling him The Rock, it's Dwayne Johnson. But anyway, fighting all these people. And I'm not going to say what, I'm not going to say why and where, as this is a spoiler-free review and I don't want to give too much away, but it's a crazy scene and I really enjoyed it, and he was really good in this particular scene, and it was also really funny, I thought. I think The Rock is quite good at delivering or adding humour to his performance even, and humour, is really needed in a film like this, and there is plenty of it, and I think mostly it's sort of done well. The movie's very self-aware, it knows what it is, and when it uses that, with the humour, the over-the-top action, the very cheesy script, the acting, this film comes across as being very aware of itself, and as a result, made this a slightly more watchable experience. Even though, overall it is sort of bad, but it's a sort of a good bad, if there's such a thing. I found myself still enjoying it and just going along with the ride. And, this is not a type of movie I choose to go and see. And it's definitely aimed towards its target audience, which is, guys and girls who love their cars, petrol heads. My brother's one of them, and I think, in fact, my brother loves these movies, and he loves cars as well, and I think anyone who does love their cars will enjoy this movie, and especially if you're a fan of the series, I think you are going to enjoy this movie. But yeah, I think if you love cars, you will enjoy this movie. You've got it all, basically, even the titties. That's right, you get your women with their boobies, and they're all like sort of, what are they doing? They're sort of just lying on the car, and it's very sort of, it knows its target audience. This film knows the audience, and it really sort of, and it's very self-aware, and it uses that, and I think as a result, this film for me was watchable because it really didn't take itself too seriously. The film really didn't need to be over 2 hours either. I think it was something like 2 hours 10 minutes. They could have really shortened the second act and added a little more over-the-top action maybe, but I don't get the length of this movie, the runtime. I'm thinking back, the plot was a very simple one and sort of predictable, and this could have been easily 1 hour 30 minutes around. There's also a very fun scene in New York also, which is crazy and actually made me laugh a little. But there's a moment during this action scene in New York which was very similar to a moment in Hitman Agent 47, the most recent release, the reboot, the very poor reboot of a poor film, you could say. And them, if you've seen the film, you might know the moment I'm on about. If you do, let me know below. But it was a very, very similar moment. So yes, this was a very fun, mindless experience. I enjoyed the action sequences and some of the humour, but there wasn't much more to this movie. Characters for me were very poorly drawn and, lacked depth and reason for doing what they were doing, and I just felt like they were the characters were there for just being there because, they were there, they've been in previous movies. The plot is pretty basic and a little predictable, but the movie is very aware of itself, and as a result doesn't take itself too seriously, that I did in parts sort of enjoyed, purely because the action is crazy, but I do think the movie grinds to a halt during its second act. Oh, and before I go into the grade, I have to mention Charlize Theron. She looked like she really enjoyed playing the villain Cypher. Also, she's a damn beautiful woman. Like, she's hot. So yeah, the film knows its audience. It's very self-aware, and I felt it really utilised that in making what I thought at least was an enjoyable experience, but one that really lacked any depth or meaning. The script was okay, but by God, it was cringy and cheesy in places. But I felt like they did that on purpose. Whenever you would hear a cheesy line and the way it was delivered, it was almost as if the writers and the character, the performers, were giving a little wink at the audience, or you could call it tongue-in-cheek, I guess, even. So I'll be giving F8, or Fast and Furious, or The Fate of the Furious, or whatever you want to call it, a C. So yeah, a pretty average film, really. I sort of enjoyed it, but would I see it again? No. Would I get it on Blu-ray or DVD? No. But, for fans of the movies, for fans of the series, and if you love your cars and all of that, I think, you will have a lot of fun with this film and you will enjoy it. But for me, really, overall, it was a pretty average movie. So yeah, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And, if you like what you see and you share the same passion, then why not hit subscribe?